Yo guys, Haku here with my review of One Piece anime episode 727, and this was the one that we've been waiting for with the Awakened Devil Fruits for manga readers, and it's something new that's probably surprising a lot of anime-only watchers, and really has them excited because this is a whole new concept to Devil Fruits. So let's break this down and give some thoughts on it. So it's no secret, I'm a Doflamingo fanboy. I have been waiting and waiting, so hyped for the Awakened Devil Fruit episode, almost as much as, well, maybe as much as I was waiting for Gear 4th, because I wanted to see what they would have the Awakened Devil Fruit to look like. And I thought it looked really good, but I'll get into later some of my, problems with it. I'm not going to hate on the episode, though you might think that by me saying problems. It's just that there were a few things I didn't think were as good as they could have been, and really a step down from last week, but you would expect it to be a little bit below what last week was, obviously, since last week was the Gear 4th reveal. Okay, so getting into the episode, the recap, they put the best parts together, really. It looked so nice. I feel weird saying this, but I really, really liked the recap. It really felt awesome, and it was just all the good parts from last episode mashed together, and then bring us into this episode had me hyped from the very beginning by doing that. So then the first thing we get with this episode's new content is that culverine shot that Doflamingo gets hit with sends him through a few buildings. And yeah, it was a nice scene, but it looked like he was flying so slowly through the air, and the sound effects were really light, and it just felt like there was no impact to the hit. I mean, he just sort of kind of tumbled back through a couple, Play-Doh buildings. I mean, it didn't seem like it was something that, would really hurt in this anime. And I mean, of course it wasn't. Doflamingo is a boss, just stands up from whatever, because OP bad guy has to be, OP bad guy has to be OP, because that makes them an interesting bad guy. It makes them a challenge for the protagonist to overcome. So I liked we get Lon Cavendish talking about whoa, what the hell is Straw Hat doing? And then they sort of go over how he's using too much haki, and yeah, they're okay, he's gonna run out, and we know there's gonna be some sort of drawback, because he's using haki constantly, as well as being all blown up with his Gumma Gumma no Mi's rubber powers. And he's kind of fusing the rubberiness and using his haki to direct where the rubberized parts of him go. So it's obviously something he can't keep up forever, and it's not a spoiler to say there's going to be some sort of drawback. There was a drawback to Gear 2nd and 3rd, there's going to be one for Gear 4th. So we finally get the reveal that Burgess is up. He's climbed up looking for, I think, Straw Hat and whatnot, and it's been set up pretty well that he's obviously going to be fighting Sabo. I mean, it's not a spoiler. Koala's following him. Koala called Sabo. We get to see Koala this episode hiding behind the rubble, talking into the Denden Mushi. Koala is waifu. I love Koala. I'm glad that she got to come back into the storyline as an adult character after the flashback we had with her and Fisher Tiger's crew, because man, I loved that flashback, and I really loved Fisher Tiger as a character, and I'm glad we got the episode or so just explaining him. Even though Fishman Island wasn't that good, I absolutely loved the Otohime and Fisher Tiger flashbacks. They were really enjoyable, and I was at least happy we got them, even though there was a bunch of stuff I wish we didn't have in Fishman Island. So, enough about how much I love Koala. Let's get into, I think next was, Zoro, Kinemon, and Kanjuro going towards the birdcage was whatever Zoro's plan was. We haven't found out yet, and I'm not going to spoil anything. Of course, I read the manga, I do reviews on it and whatnot, but, so we have Kanjuro's bird, and I think Kanjuro's design is silly, and a lot of One Piece characters are, but I absolutely love his drawings. His drawings are hilarious, and I want him to be in the story more just for the drawings. Especially, there are more coming up that are hilarious. We've already had hilarious ones so far, like the bird. This poor, what do they call it, something Suzume, I think, and it was like the spring sparrow, and it was just hilarious. I love the little bird. So then we get like a big overview look at the birdcage, and it is closed up a lot. It's like very, there are no descriptive words I have here. It's very small. It's closed up a lot. And we got a bunch of citizens running from it, but that comes in a little later after the little middle commercial scene card. So we see that Frankie's up. He's leaving the factory with the Tontara, and I like that because, of course, I love Frankie. I'm glad to see he's up. And I honestly didn't mind that this episode didn't spend a ton of time with Doflamingo and Luffy. I didn't mind it at all because everything seemed like it had its place, and I was fine with that because it didn't distract from the overall plot, because each of the characters we saw had things going on. So then Zoro and the samurai meet up with them, and Frankie's the one that notices the birdcage can't cut Kairoseki, Doflamingo can't melt steel beams, Dressrosa is an inside job, guys. You heard it here first. And then my favorite little part of the scene where Zoro and them are meeting is, Frankie opens up his big hand, he has the little hand come out, and there's this little Tontara hanging from the small hand. And I don't know why, but just the little stuff like that, and the fact that the Tontara were moving on him, I'm like, that adds so much to the episode, just that little thing, instead of if it had been just a still screen of him talking with Tontara not moving attached to him. That would have been all kinds of boring. I liked that they moved around. They had the little funny one hanging from his hand. That adds, just that little bit, adds so much to the episode. I really like little things like that in anime. So going back, I think right before the commercial break, to Doflamingo and Luffy, I don't know if I have where the commercial break is right in this video, so I didn't put it in my notes or anything, so just ignore if I'm off by a little between scenes. But we get back to Doflamingo and Luffy's still doing the flying thing, and the sound effects for that are still amazing. I love the sound effects they're using for him flying. It's perfect. It is done so well. The sound effects in general have been pretty good the past few episodes. There are a few bad ones, but overall, the sound effect work is great, and the soundtrack is great, except there's one gripe I had with it in this episode, but other than that, soundtrack has been great in the past few episodes. So we get Doflamingo's reveal of the awakened devil fruits, and he can turn anything he touches to string and control that string, which is an amazing power, and it opens the door for so much more in the world of One Piece. So many more, like everyone who we've seen that has a devil fruit now gets awakened devil fruits. Can you imagine, like, when I think about it, an awakened Logia, like freaking, if Monet had it, R.I.P. Monet, she was waifu, like if Monet had a Yuki Yuki no Mi turn everything to snow, or I really, really want to see Crocodile or Enel just turning things into lightning or sand. That'd be freaking amazing. And I mean, it leads into explaining how Punk Hazard works, because if Kuzan and Akainu, Sakazuki Akainu, both have awakened devil fruits, then they could have been turning parts of the island to ice and magma, and that is why it stays permanently ice and magma. So off topic, we get that reveal, and we get Luffy's double Culverine. Sorry, I'm actually going to leave that pause in there because it kind of is. I was looking over like mid-sentence to my notes to make sure it was Culverine. But yeah, it was double Culverine. And when I say notes, I'm not doing this all scripted or anything. I just like take little notes as I'm watching the episode, and then to help me in my rant here so I don't forget about what happened. So yeah, double Culverine versus Off-White. I thought that was a great scene. I really like the way Luffy's Gear 4th attacks look way better than Doflamingo's Awaken attacks, but Doflamingo's Awaken attacks still look really cool. Animation wasn't quite up to last week's standard, but it was still good animation. Very enjoyable. I liked it a lot. And here's where the gripe came in, is the ability to awaken devil fruits, even like a paramecia turning the world around him to string. That's a huge deal. That is a huge new thing. We kind of got hints in Impel Down, but this is a huge new concept for One Piece, and I felt like it wasn't ominous enough. The soundtrack needed to be more ominous, more like heavy, and like it just seemed sort of like Doflamingo's like, oh yeah, so awakened devil fruits exist, guys, and then they were just like, oh, awakened devil fruits exist, let's move on. And I don't think they didn't need more combat, but they needed more, I feel like they needed more focus on the fact that awakened devil fruits exist in the first place, even if they didn't reveal a ton, just like people saying, whoa, awakened devil fruits exist, like Luffy watching him, like, so people can turn the world around them to whatever. And I mean, he mentions it's not a paramecia power, how can a paramecia do this? But I feel like there should have been a little bit more thought there. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that, but I think there should have been more stuff for the awakened devil fruit reveal. Now here's where I think we got into the commercial break, and we came back to like 3 to 5 minutes of citizens doing whatever, and my feelings on it are mixed. It did take me out of the episode a little and was a little boring, but the animation was pretty good, and they didn't reuse animations that I saw, and it fit into the story well. So I'm not going to say it's like bad, but it took me out of it a little bit. Yeah. So we get King Riku's speech, and I absolutely loved it. People might disagree, but I loved his speech. It had me like hype. I was ready, especially there was one line, and I even wrote it down to make sure I didn't forget, where he said the name of that one chapter. He was like, even if your legs break. And when he said that, I got the chills. I was hype. I was like, yes, this is the end, the climax of Dressrosa. Even if your legs break, everybody like survive. Just survive. That's like the climax of Dressrosa isn't about as much about beating Doflamingo or winning. It's about surviving. It's about rescuing yourselves from 10 years of turmoil. Everyone here is just trying to not die, and that's a really cool feeling they have going with it. And a funny little side note, there's the woman who's like, if you see my boy, he's wearing a Kuma shirt, and when we see him, he's like literally wearing a shirt of Bartholomew Kuma. And we see the same kid, I think, in the manga later on. That wasn't a spoiler. I don't think that was a spoiler. But he's not important. It's just a random kid in the background wearing a shirt with Bartholomew Kuma on it. And I really like Kuma, and I think it's pretty hilarious that there's just a random kid with a Kuma shirt. I don't know why, I just like it. Little Easter egg that was kind of not an Easter egg because they told us about it. What am I doing? So then it kind of ended at a place where I was like, that's it? That's all we're getting? So in the end, like, thinking back, I really loved the episode and enjoyed it, but there were a lot of parts I was mixed about, so it's hard to give it a score because I didn't necessarily dislike anything. I was too mixed on it to love it completely. And then we get the promo for next week's episode. I don't know why I just said a bunch there, but we get the promo and it looks great. The animation looks better than this week, maybe not as much as last week, but it looks like really good animation, and all they showed us that I can remember was fighting and combat between Luffy and Doflamingo, and there might be some birdcage blocking stuff, but either way, next week looks hype for fans of just the action shonen part of this. So next week looks really good, and this week was good. There were just parts I was mixed on. And like discussing it here, I was thinking like 8 out of 10, but then in my notes I had like 5 out of 10. So I have no clue what I'm giving this at this point, because like, I don't know, the impression I got when first watching it was apparently a lot different than what I remember it as. So it was really hard for me. I guess I'll give it like you know what? I'm gonna kind of lower down that 8 out of 10 and make it towards what my notes were saying with the 5 out of 10, and just give this thing like 6 Awakened Devil Fruits out of 10. 6 out of 10 seems fair. I mean, I don't know. There were just a lot of things I was really mixed on. This entire episode is just mixed feelings after mixed feelings, and I think the biggest part I knocked it down after watching it was because the scene about revealing Awakened Devil Fruits just, it wasn't hyped up enough. It wasn't like big and dramatic enough for me, I guess. So yeah, 6 out of 10. Like if you liked it. This was kind of a long, rambly review. Subscribe if you want some more One Piece and Tower of God and Walking Dead and just random stuff. 2 anime reviews a weekend, I hope. Like, that sounds really fun. It's something I hope to keep doing, at least one a weekend. If you guys have anything you want me to review, throw it in the comments and I'll check it out. I will, oh yeah, almost forgot. Follow the Twitter for updates on stuff. And I might post some memes here and there. Yeah, memes, dank. Yeah, dank. So, yeah, that's about that. I'll see you guys next time.